Hey there, Georgie here with Ukraine Matters. So welcome from Lviv, Ukraine. As you can see, I still have light and I'm still warm with the heating over here, and I still haven't been bombed. So we can actually talk about the events surrounding Ukraine, and I can tell you about a thing or two that I've experienced here on my first-hand account. So first things first, let's just say that it's been quite cold in the last couple of days. We had like a cold snap, and it's been very much felt by a person that's so used to the Danish climate, which is very, very mild despite the fact that it's a Nordic nation. So one of the interesting things that I noted here in Ukraine is that I saw a Cybertruck. Yes, that big, ugly Elon Musk monstrosity somehow made it to Ukraine, and I saw it driving down the street, and let's just say I was extremely surprised. But more importantly, there is a couple of events that happen across the world that I do feel we need to pay some attention to. First things is what is happening with Starlink, because since we're starting talking about Elon Musk, I think it's worth touching upon this. As if you have not been paying attention, then Russia has been recently scaling up the production and usage of Starlinks on their Shahed type drones. Shahed type drones. And they've been using Starlinks to essentially turn the Shaheds into big first-person controllable drones. So even despite the fact that Russian operators would be hundreds of kilometers behind the enemy lines, because there is a Starlink terminal that is located on the Shahed, they would be able to guide it. Now the new Minister of Defense of Ukraine was able to reach out to Elon Musk and actually find a solution. So from now on, actually from today, there is going to be a special verification system inside of Ukraine to whitelist the Starlink terminals that are operating in Ukraine. And this will allow the prevention of use of Starlink by Russians. And I think that's a good thing, because no one wants to see more dead Ukrainians, that's for sure. I do want to also outline that Russians have been quite desperate recently. We've got some statistics about the Russian advances in January, and it was bad. The analysts estimate that they were actually almost 2 times slower than anything that they were showing before. So whatever have people been telling you about Russian unstoppable force, again, it is pretty stoppable, and they can be persuasive right now, but Ukrainians are getting better at stopping them. So, I mean, it's good to know, especially behind the headlines that are trying to tell you. I actually even have the chart here so you can see how much they've fallen. It's just I cannot really show it on screen because I don't have editing software, so you'll have to forgive me with just what I have. I'm trying to do the best. Interestingly, right now Russians actually have been trying to align the expectations of Putin and his shill about the captures of Kupiansk and Kupiansk-Vyzlova. You remember we laughed about it recently, and they've sent a diversion group that was able to infiltrate some of the Ukrainian positions, and Ukrainians actually found that group and destroyed them. And funny enough, that group was not really carrying a lot of ammunition altogether. They were sent deep behind the Ukrainian lines with one goal and one goal only: to plant some flags. Yes, you heard me right. That group that got destroyed inside of Kupiansk-Vyzlova, which is nowhere close to the areas where Russians are more or less stably controlling, they are just there to plant some flags and make some propaganda videos. Again, Russia is trying to do the best they can to show that they are winning on the front line, when in reality they are absolutely not, and resistance of Ukrainians is fantastic. The best thing that I also want to mention from the recent times is the Epstein files. Obviously horrendous. I was reading some of that and I was, to be honest, shocked. I think that's a great mirror to society's face about what our leaders are and how they are performing. And I think, to be honest, for a lot of people that are sort of connected to this power, I'm hoping that they are reflecting. At least definitely I know that in societies people are reflecting and there are conversations about is this right that we're just allowing people to kind of sort of get away because they're rich and famous? And big questions are arising, at least within Europe for sure. And the interesting part about the whole Epstein things is just how many times Putin and Russia is appearing in those files. And it led to even some of the journalists and analysts to actually come out to a pretty plausible theory that most likely this whole scheme of Epstein is actually a honeypot trap, which is sort of a blackmail producing machine that lures in a lot of these rich and powerful people with the option to create a very compromative material on them, and then allows then Russian KGB or FSB in this case to actually operate, because Epstein have been in no uncertain terms really connected to Russian. He was getting women from Russia, trafficking other girls and so on, and he has been promoting a lot of Russian narratives, and he has been working with a lot of the Russian agents. And there have been also some very notable people, especially in Norway, that have been working with Russians and promoting Russians to Epstein. So it is not a far fetch now to consider that most likely when you're seeing that there is a lot of people bowing down to Putin's will, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, that most likely there is some kind of a very, very serious blackmail materials that Russian agencies do have. So I think if beforehand it was sort of like something that we discussed in between each other, and like by the end we're like, yeah, but we have no data, yeah, and we kind of ha, good idea. But now I think we're getting kind of past that funny giggling part, because if before, like whenever someone says, there is a secret pedophile ring operating in the government, everyone was kind of like, yeah, I'm not sure about this. Now we know for sure. And I don't think it's a very far-fetched idea that it is driven by Russians, especially when you read some of the materials that are listed there. It is very clear that the world is discovering some absolutely atrocious things, and we are looking like, by the way, right, everyone that's telling you like, oh my god, like look at what's happening here, they're also the same people that are telling you, but just look at the corruption in Ukraine. In any case, guys, stay safe, support Ukraine, support the Ukrainian armed forces. Tomorrow I'll be moving on, and I will have some very special report coming your way very, very soon. SLAVA UKRAINY, and I will see you next time.